Hi again, folks. I've been asked to explain why I, living in Canada, became a Sabres fan. Coming up. Yeah, give me a sec here, guys. The shout out goes to Food for Thought. Video on why I became a Sabres fan. Should be a long video. The reason I became a Sabres fan, Food for Thought, is because of a guy named Gilbert Perreault. And it was a pretty easy call at the time. When I was a little kid, my favorite team was, believe it or not, the Maple Leafs. When I was tiny, like 6 years old. And people say, well, you live in Montreal. I mean, why weren't you cheering for the Habs, all those Cups? Folks, I've always been anti-Hab my whole life. My whole life. I've hated the Habs all my life. Why? I don't know. I just have. It's just one of those things. And I'm one of those guys, I'll defend their history when I see people online saying stupid things. Like I see one guy one time saying that, talking about how Thornton is like the greatest player in history. And I'm like, God, no, God, I can name one guy just on that. Than anybody the Habs have ever had. I said, you're going to compare a guy like Thornton to Guy Lafleur, really? And the guy just says, who the hell is Guy Lafleur? Like, I was right there. My God, how lost are the kids today not to know that name? Has that many years passed by, eh? You know, when I was a kid, I had a friend named Stephanie Sanders. She was in my class. And her older brother, John Sanders, always had a Buffalo Sabres shirt on, or jersey. And I always wondered, I said, well, what is it? How come, what's going on with that? How come he wears the Sabres? Like, what's, you know, she goes, oh, we're from Buffalo. You know, we moved here to Montreal. We're from Buffalo. And that's our team. We root them on, right? You know, still to this day, they live in Montreal, and they're both still Sabres fans and Bills fans. They haven't changed. And last I talked to Stephanie, she was completely stressed out about the Bills last year, and I haven't talked to her since. So, well, my condolences, Stephanie. I know you guys came close, but hey, got to just hang in there till you know the tide turns your way in sports. That's just how it works. And I remember when I was a kid, though. Once Davey Keon got older, and you know, this was in 75, I believe, when he left. I was already a Sabres fan by 72, 73 season. And what really got me was just the year, how exciting the Sabres were that year. And if you look at their record, you'll say, well, they didn't look that exciting. Check their home record. That's all I could tell you about the 72, 73 Sabres. Go check their home record that year. And that's what, those kind of things were glaring stats back in the day for kids. They were glaring stats. Not like today with all the analytics and everything. It wasn't like that back then. It was different. You know, things were different. And the French Connection, by that point already, were the most exciting team in hockey after like 1 year. Literally, you know, like it really was that quick of an impact these three guys had on the NHL. So I totally got into the French Connection. I thought it was the coolest sounding line in hockey. And Perreault, of course, was a magician. He really was. If you could have seen Perreault in his prime, all I could tell you, he was just a magician. He, you know, and by the time we got to the 75 finals, that was our, because we bombed out the next year, and then in 75 we had a massive season. Everything that could have went right did, except that we didn't finish first overall, and the French Connection missed some time on the ice that year. So, looking back, what did us in, people say it was Bernie Perrin. For me, what did us in? Not having the home ice. Because home ice back then might have been the difference. It really might have been. You know, if we could have opened that series in Buffalo and not Philadelphia, that might have made the difference. But it is what it is, folks. It's like 1975. I'm not here like worrying about that anymore. It's in the history books now, and you know, it's great memories. I still feel like the Sabres won the cup that year. That's how that year felt. And when we lost, it was really, it was one of those things that you were sure the Sabres are going to win the Stanley Cup next year. That's how it felt. And that was 1975. So imagine, you know, how many years have passed. So for me, it's an easy call, food for thought. It's an easy call because, you know, getting into Gilbert Perreault as a kid, it took my love for the game that much higher than Dave Keon did. And I loved Dave Keon as a kid. I did. He was like my hero and everything. And then Toronto had the falling out with him, and he went to the WHA and all. Oh God! And like even at that point, I was still a Keon fan, but all my allegiance I went to Buffalo by that point. For like I was in my third year as a Sabres fan when that happened, I believe. And, it's just funny how the years roll on. And, there's so many great memories. But for me, the easy thing, I guess the easy answer to this is I never was a Habs fan, ever. So I had no allegiance to my home team at all, never will. It's just never happening with me, never will. And I as the years went on, though, I will say I don't hate the Habs like I used to, like when I was younger. God, I just wanted any team in the league but them to win the cup. Anybody. I didn't care who it was, really. You could have brought in the Red Army to win. That's how much I was fed up with it, really. And then when they lost to Minnie in 1980, I was just so relieved. Finally, the dynasty's done, finally. And that's just, I guess, my take on it. I fell in love with a team that was young, up and coming. Little did I know they were going to make the finals in a few years. I had no clue. I still remember when they lost that series to Montreal, how I felt, because I was devastated. I thought they had a chance. But Montreal were so strong back then. They were just so strong, in 73, in the 70s, the whole decade. So when we beat Montreal in 75 in the semis to go to the finals, you can imagine the thrill I was having. As a kid, I was so thrilled. I thought they were going to beat Philadelphia. The reason I thought they were going to win the cup is because they beat Montreal. If you ask anybody who watched that season closely, they'll tell you that Montreal was probably the best team that year of the three. But Montreal just were still kind of missing, still missing out. There was just an element missing with the team still. I think they needed to lose one more series, and that's what happened. And they had their great dynasty after. So that's the simple answer, my friend. The French connection. And I will throw in there, I loved the jersey and the logo as a kid. I always loved their logo and their jersey. I always thought it was like such a gorgeous looking logo and everything. I loved it. And God, it's hard to believe it's that many years ago, eh? God. Anyway, let's end this. That's my answer for you, as straight as I can give it. All right, so I hope that's sufficient. I'll see you folks in the next video.